I'm Christiane. I direct the service programs at Edmunde Burke School. And since Hurricane Katrina hit, we've been sending a group down to New Orleans. It occurred to me last year, though, why do we go so far afield when very close to where our school is located in Washington, D.C., a very serious storm hit, and there are people there who could use our outreach. And it could be also an opportunity for our students to learn this is what being in service of those in need looks like and feels like. So it gives them an opportunity to really encounter that. So it's a win-win situation. In both cases, I would say there's a sense that, oh, but that happened so long ago. Well, 2.5 years out, shouldn't people have gotten back on their feet already? But just a lack of understanding of the complexity.
I didn't really expect there to be much work to do. It was very surprising being here now, seeing how much is still undone and has left a lot of people still stranded. And it's crazy to think that 2 years they've been living like this.
I've been really impressed with the students' experiences here. Before we leave on any service trip, we always have several meetings where we prepare. I think you need to prepare your mind as well as your heart before you engage in any type of service. And I love the opportunity of being able to take them away from DC and for 6 days, 5 nights, really immerse them in this learning experience. So you're not only engaged physically in helping people, but you can build in time for them to think about what does this mean. You can build in time for them to talk to people, talk to residents, hear their stories.
This was a very tragic situation for us, my children and I. Being a single mom and having to deal with their emotional part of it and seeing what's going on and losing so many things in our home. But we stuck it out and we stayed strong. We basically lived a long camping trip. I enjoy camping, but this was not a camping trip that I wish to go on ever again. It was a long, rough trip.
It's an opportunity for those people to be heard and to have their stories listened to. It's also an opportunity then for our students to hear those stories and hopefully go back to DC and be storytellers. So when I think about what their experience kind of means, I think they've seen the effects of a storm like this hitting a state like New Jersey, where you might think, oh, they've got enough going on that they could be able to recover pretty quickly. I think they have a much deeper sense of what it means to have your house destroyed. So I think they can empathize with individual stories and individual households. Not that they've met those families, they've seen their faces. And this one particular student was moved to tears as she thought about, I want to make a difference, and I want it to be the big difference. And I think you never know when it's going to click for students. You never know if this particular service trip down up to New Jersey is going to be the moment when it really clicks for students. Like, this is what it is, or this is what I have to do, or this is how I can plug in and make a difference. But I think that night, for that particular student, something clicked, and that was, I hope, a moment she'll never forget.
I mean, everyone has just told us how important our work is. And I mean, every time we finish at a site, people just thank us again and again, and that feels really good. And I mean, it's so important to have something in which you feel meaningful.
Whenever we go on a service trip, I always tell the students, I always remind them, you have a responsibility. You had an experience, and your responsibility is to retell that experience to people who have no idea what you just went through. And not just like, oh, how was the Jersey Shore? It was so much fun. Really think about what message do you want to impart to those to the people in your family, into your school community, in your neighborhood. For many of them, they've never been up here to help with relief and volunteer work. And so I really emphasize for the students that they become vessels, and they become these, in some cases, the only person some folks will ever encounter who's volunteered up here. And therefore, they have a responsibility to tell the stories.
My name is Debbie, and I live in Port Monmouth, New Jersey. And my house was devastated by Hurricane Sandy. There was about 5 foot of water throughout the whole first floor. We received a lot of help from a lot of different places, FEMA money and grants to have our house lifted. But when all that ran out, there's still more house to fix. All the volunteers have been wonderful. They come in 6, 8, 10 at a time. In 2 days, they got the floor down. They come back 2 days later, they put another floor down. They come back a week later and put up walls. They supply the material, the doors, the work, the time. And without them, we wouldn't have come as far as we have. We still got a lot more work to do, and anyone out there that's willing to come and help, there's a lot more families like mine that still need your help. Thanks.
My favorite activity so far was volunteering at St. Mark's Community Kitchen because you got to see the faces of the people who were affected by the storm. It's not meaningless work. You get to actually help people. I mean, sure, building a house helps people. You don't get to form those relationships or those bonds, or actually get to hear stories from like a first-hand witness or like a primary source.
And that's a huge responsibility, but I think these kids are up for it. So when we go back, we've been keeping a blog to really capture the raw feelings of the experience. We will share that blog with the school community. We have one of the first assemblies to share with the school community, this is what we did. We were the first Burke service trip to go to the Jersey Shore, and we want more students to come up here. We want to make this a thing. We want to come up here every summer and make this is a responsibility that we feel toward the community and the partners that we built.